All right, welcome back to Interviews with Friends and Enemies. I'm Angela Byrne Castagnola, your host. You may remember that we did 8 interviews pre-pandemic, and now we are back again for season 2, our first interview with Maari Falsetto. So welcome, Maari.
Thank you, Angela. It's great to be here.
It's wonderful to have you. So I have been wanting to interview you probably for about 9 months because I came in to see you for Shamanic Reiki at your studio, Inner Alchemy, here in West Seattle. And I usually try to get a feel for people, and I have an interest in like what makes someone tick in terms of kind of deeper universal questions. So,
Great.
we're gonna dig in.
We're gonna dive in. Okay.
We're gonna pretend like we're on a very superficial date. So tell me, Maari, have you grown up in West Seattle? Have you been in Seattle? Do you have kids? You married? What's up?
Oh, okay. Let's see. So I am born and raised in Seattle, but I grew up over by Lake Washington. And I went to school in Seattle, went to UW. I actually was in the coffee industry from a really young age. Like I was 16 when I first started making coffee at Nordstrom. And then I ended up outside in the carts, and then I ended up at Monorail Espresso, and coffee was a huge part of my world in the beginning. Funny enough, coffee paid for my college, and everything about my college was I wanted to get to Europe. And what happened was my coffee experience actually got me to Europe. So I lived in Paris for 2 years. I studied at the Sorbonne, and then I lived in London and helped start a coffee company there. So I was out of Seattle for about 10 years. And then I was in Africa volunteering. And before I had left, I met somebody and we ended up getting married in Africa. And I came home with my daughter, and I have a son. So my daughter's 23 now. My son is 18.
Aww.
It's been an amazing journey to be a mother. And so, yeah, I think that kind of brings my life up to date.
Okay, good.
I live in West Seattle. I returned in 2000, and West Seattle became my home.
Okay, so 23 years in West Seattle, right?
23 years in West Seattle.
Yeah. Okay. And your kids both are West Seattleites in a sense, and this, even though this interview series isn't about West Seattle,
right?
I have found myself also in West Seattle, which during the pandemic, for those of you who don't know, what became an island, even though it's not an island now. Our bridge went out, pandemic here. Yeah. So we were all sort of like almost like a little country as much as an island. So those of us who had businesses had to find ways to modify our businesses, right?
Absolutely.
To say the least.
Yeah, everything changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when did you, since I saw you for Shamanic Reiki, when did you first get involved in something other than coffee?
So the healing arts, I guess we could call it, it really happened for me when I was actually preparing to do a master's of clinical health psychology and nutrition at Bastyr University. And what happened was my marriage fell apart, and then my life fell apart. And in that process, I couldn't start grad school. So I got a different job, and I was working in marketing and really just kind of moving through, your life coming unwound, really. And it sent me into a really deep journey.
Yeah.
And I've always been very spiritual. But this was like everything was falling away and I had to find a way.
Yeah.
And so my life, I've belonged to the Centers for Spiritual Living for many years. And I started doing some traveling with the Centers for Spiritual Living. And then I became a licensed prayer practitioner. And it was like that journey had me go inward, and that was the beginning of the shift in my life into the healing arts. And it began with prayer, And then from there, it led to Shamanic Reiki. I was certified in Shamanic Reiki and pranic healing. And all of that was really to help myself move through this unforeseeable event. I never thought I'd be divorced. I never thought my kids would have a divorced family.
Right.
And then it unwinds everything. And so what I found was the doorway to my own healing became the call for me to bring a community together of healers. And so that's really where Inner Alchemy began.
Okay. Yeah. That I am sure that anyone watching who has been through an event, just let's say like divorce.
To name one of so many, right?
could relate to start. And finding inner healing for ourselves during a process like that is important. And you, it seems, chose to share that as well.
I realized very early on that the reason I'm here, the reason my soul is here, is for love and connection.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. And so, yeah, it was this recognition of something deeper, and spiritual, soulful, energetic. And I thought, wow, this is a really significant part of being a spiritual being as a human being. And the community that I had grown at that point was so vast. And everybody, all the healers, all the practitioners were trying to do it on their own.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do when you do something like energy work or mediumship or neurolinguistic programming. And it's hard to do that alone. And so I just kept having this vision that really just wouldn't let me go. Yeah. And it was about a place where healers could work together to support each other and evolve together. Because you can't do any type of healing arts and not continuously be shedding old conditioning, old beliefs. I mean, it's not an easy path.
No.
Because it's like you're saying, okay, I'll continuously change and transform and let go, and there's a lot to that. So, bringing a community together and then being a community that our community could come to and explore different modalities and experiences that help in everyday life. I mean, from the simplest transition to the most profound, like death.
Definitely. Yes. Beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And and all the transitions.
Right. Because we're very fluid. We don't stay the same. And if we try to stay the same, it gets a little explosive, shall we say?
Yeah. One way or another. One way or another.
Yeah. It's like, are you going to get You're going to get tapped, or are you going to get whacked?
Yeah. It's like, could I open the door, or is the door just going to slam open?
Right.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the name of the interview series, Interviews with Friends and Enemies, interesting in that it's a little bit more of an exploration in slow food, right? Slow interviewing, not really a rapid fire, even though there's a part that I like to do that's fun where I ask questions and you answer them quickly with one word. Okay. And it's just because it mixes things up. But we're gonna save that part for the end, because we did our little superficial date at the beginning. So that's a little snappy.
Yeah.
So if you could imagine what might make, I know you're getting ready. What might make someone consider you a friend?
Oh, what might make someone consider me a friend? Well, I think there's two qualities that I have that maybe I've always had. And one is that I listen with a lot of honor. Like I listen in a way that people feel safe enough to open up, but they also equally know that I don't take that information anywhere.
The next question is, what might make someone consider you an enemy?
Wow. That's such an intense word, enemy.